Well, according to Moody's analytics, we have 10 cities in Ohio where home prices are overvalued. Are you surprised? Well, that would include a city like Cincinnati, Ohio, where we've got the value of homes, they are 23% overvalued according to Moody's. And that's not all. There are 9 other cities in Ohio that we're going to get to, and I'm going to show you where they are overvalued. But before we get to that, real quick, my name is Jason Ferrier. Welcome to the Ohio Housing Nerd channel. This is all about Ohio. This is all about the housing market, and this is your chance to learn about what's really happening in the Buckeye State when it comes to home prices, inventory, trends, if prices are going to continue to go up or not. And we've got a lot of data to get to. I've got fresh information from Redfin to review with you. And then, of course, I've got this Moody's Analytics article that I thought was pretty interesting. And Cincinnati isn't the most overvalued city in Ohio, according to Moody's, but it's definitely one of them. So we're going to get to the 9 other cities in a minute. So today on these lives, typically YouTube will allow me to select if I want to show you ads or not. If I show you ads, and I imagine they're annoying, I can't see them when I'm doing the live, but I do have a YouTube subscription, so I understand that the ads are there. YouTube will give me that choice. If I select not to include the ads, the only thing I ask, and that's what I've done today, there are no ads on this live. There will be on the replay, but all I ask is that you give me a super chat if you get some value, if you learned something today, and give me a thumbs up if you're joining us on the live. And this is, again, your chance to learn about the Ohio housing market. So welcome. All right. Let's see if I get anything else. So we're going to look at, again, Moody's information, Redfin information. I've got a ton of areas to review today. I've got Lakewood, Ohio, Lorain County, Hamilton County, Franklin County, Licking County, Worthington, Westerville, Lake County, Clark County. Somebody asked for Buckeye Lake and Indian Lake. I'm going to try to get to those. But if you have a county you want me to review or a city, if it's in central Ohio, I can use the MLS. So go ahead and drop it in the comments and I'll get to it. Again, no ads on the live. Tell me if that improves your viewing experience or not, or does it not matter to you? All right, let's look at this Moody's Analytics information. So this article came out from Moody's Analytics, and it's called Housing Market Fundamentals Are Healing. Overvaluation scores for 400 metros. And they go through a ton of different metros. I'm going to do a ton of metros I'm going to review a lot more than just Ohio on my national Redfin update on the Housing Nerd channel. But this is all about Ohio, so we're going to focus on that. But I did want to show you that Moody's back in 2022 said that the U.S. housing market was overvalued by 29%. At the end of Q2 2025, they said the overvaluation was just 8.3%. And this is just one little blurb I want to show you. I want to understand what you think about this, because I was surprised. It says, at the height of the pandemic housing boom, Moody's Analytics estimated that U.S. home prices were overvalued by 29%. That didn't mean that prices had to fall 29%, but it did mean that they were well above trend relative to fundamentals like income, and that downside risks were elevated in many regional housing markets by mid-2022. Fast forward to 2025, and Moody's now thinks home prices are overvalued in the U.S. now, just the total United States, by 8.3%. So according to Resi Club Analytics, that's where I got this article from, Lance, who wrote this article, says, since the pandemic housing boom fizzled out 3 years ago, U.S. income growth, pay attention to this, U.S. income growth has consistently outpaced both national home price and rent growth, while construction cost inflation has cooled significantly according to Moody's model. This shift has led to a noticeable improvement in nationally aggregated home price fundamentals, even without a 2007 through 2011 style home price crash. So Like, I was really surprised to see this. And again, we're going to get to this map in a minute, but like, Moody's is basically saying, hey, the U.S. housing market, the prices haven't grown as much since 2022 to 2025 compared to incomes in the United States. And so Moody's is saying the housing market is just slightly, only 8% overvalued rather than 23%. So comment and tell me what you think about that. That's a national, more of a national talk, I guess. But we could relate it to Ohio. Like, are incomes keeping up with home price growth in Ohio? Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's market specific, right? But tell me what you think. The whole narrative that, hey, incomes haven't kept up with home price growth, is that changing? At some point, are we going to say, oh, homes are just this expensive and now we make more money? Are you making more money? Let me know. Since 2022, I'd like to know. All right. Let's get to more of this data. All right. So you've got Cincinnati, Ohio, overvalued by 23%, according to Moody's Analytics. What's important to look at here is that in 2018, Cincinnati was actually undervalued by 3.2%. Then it came out of that hole and shot up dramatically, right? We all know that. Well, let's look at Springfield, Ohio. Overvalued by 30%. That's what they're saying. Springfield, Ohio is overvalued by 30%. Again, if you're joining us now, do me a favor, hit the like button and give me a super chat if you think that, in fact, if you learned something today, if I gave you some value, because I've turned off the ads on these live streams. I'm doing that for my national channel too. The ads will be on the replays, but not if you catch me on the live. Lima, Ohio, 30% overvalued. 2018, it was undervalued by 1.5%. Sandusky, Ohio, overvalued by 36.5%, according to Moody's Analytics. So think about this. Moody's Analytics has the U.S. housing market overvalued by 8% right now. Only 8%. I mean, that number's shocking to me anyway. And they have Sandusky, Ohio, overvalued by 36%. Toledo, Ohio, overvalued by 10%. It was undervalued by 10% back in 2018. All right, Cleveland, Believeland, only overvalued by 12%, according to Moody's Analytics. And this doesn't mean home prices necessarily have to fall. It means that there could be a combination of lower home prices and rising wages. That could be part of the equation, right? You're all silent today. Nobody got a comment? Did I wake you up? Let's see. Who else is on this list? Canton, Massillon area, overvalued by 21%. Akron, overvalued by 13%. Youngstown, overvalued by 37%, according to Moody's. Mansfield, Ohio. Look at this overvaluation. Shoot, man. They've been overvalued the whole time. They started out in Q2 of 2018, overvalued by 2.8%, then 6.9%, then 11%, 29, 36, 39, 46, now 46.3% overvalued. You know, some of the overvaluation could be that the people actually living in that town can't afford the homes. Obviously, right? No kidding, Jason. But it could be that investors are buying properties there. I own properties there in Mansfield. I don't know that they're overvalued. I just ran some comps on them. I don't know. I mean, they haven't really appreciated that much in Mansfield. I mean, I don't know. They haven't really appreciated that much. Maybe, more than 10%, but certainly not like 20, 30%. Columbus last, 31% overvalued in Columbus, Ohio. 31% overvalued. What y'all think about that? All right, so that's what Moody's has to say. And again, I'm going to do a ton of metros when I do my national report on the Housing Nerd channel later, probably later today or maybe even tomorrow. Okay, let's now dive into some of this other data you want to look at, or I know you want to look at. So first, let's review just Ohio because we have fresh Redfin data to look at. All right, median sale price. This is for the state. I'm just starting at the state level. Then I'm going to get to the metros and counties. State level. Median sale price dropped from 280 grand last month. Now, according to Redfin's latest data, and you can go to Redfin anytime, folks, and look at this info. $276,000 now for the median sale price in Ohio if you look at the entire state, according to Redfin. Now, let's look at new listings. Oh, let me go back to median sale price real quick. So year over year in Ohio, you've got median sale prices up 5.7%. So are your wages growing 5.7% right now? I don't know. Maybe they are. What do you do month to month, month over month? Month over month, the median sale price in Ohio dropped 1.5%. We know that because we saw the lower number. Now let's look at new listings because this is going to shock you. Oh, Redfin, what do you got going on with me here? Come on. It's not playing nice. Oop, I got to go back and reset it. My fault. Well, it's not my fault, but it's Redfin's fault. Blame it on the Redfin. All right. Sometimes it can get finicky. I think they're using Tableau. And Tableau sometimes is difficult. All right, new listings. How many homes are coming to market in Ohio? Well, last month, actually, this is a this is a state information. Yeah. So last month there were 15,368 homes hit the market in Ohio. And you're like, what does that mean, Jason? Well, you really want to pay attention to inventory because inventory will drive prices. And I've got a map for you here in a minute I'm going to share that really paints the picture as far as what the inventory situation's like. Because if you look at inventory of homes for sale, we now have 29,237 homes for sale in the state of Ohio. And if I look at the year over year change with that, you can see we're up 13% year over year in inventory. The problem is if you look at new listings are only up 2.9% in the state, which actually is not bad because, well, if you compare it to the rest of the U.S., it's not bad. Right now, the U.S. is like flat, maybe up 1% with new listings. You're not hearing that in the media, by the way. And you're not going to hear that from you're not going to hear that from many people except me, I don't think, right now, that new listings are actually flat in the U.S. But in Ohio, they're up slightly, 2.9%. The point of that is you got to have more new listings. You got to have more active listings in order to have home prices fall. You can't have a housing, you can't have deteriorating inventory. So let me show you this because this is really going to paint the picture on inventory. Look at this. I made this map myself. Yep, I know I'm awesome. Look at this. So this shows us the 6-year change in active homes for sale. And again, this will tell you why home prices continue to go up in Ohio month after month. 92% of counties in Ohio have fewer homes for sale right now than they did back in 2019. Some by more than half. So if you pay attention to this map here, you could see there are 8 counties where we have more inventory than we did in 2019. And that's the reason why people use 2019 is the fact that that's when 2020 is when the pandemic hit, and that's when inventory really dropped. So if you can get back to pre-pandemic levels of inventory, That's usually a good thing. And that's a sign, like in Austin, Texas, in Florida, in well, in a lot of areas in Texas, a lot of areas of Florida, like Denver, as they see more and more inventory build past 2019 levels, home prices are starting to come down. So using that as a litmus test, look at the markets. There's only 8. You've got Hocking County up 81% in the number of homes for sale in the last 6 years. You've got Monroe County up 70%. You've got Noble County that's flat. You've got Vinton County up 9%. You've got, and we're going to look at some of these in more detail here in a minute. You got Pickaway County up 43%. Madison County up 25%. Franklin County. If there's an area where I think home prices will fall, I think you're going to see some pain in Franklin County if inventory continues to build. And they're up right now 10% year over year. You've got Licking County, where I live, up 8% not year over year over the last 6 years. In Franklin County, inventory is up 10%. My bad. 8% change in active inventory versus July of 2019 in Licking County. If that Intel plant goes bye-bye, what'll happen to prices if inventory continues to rise? I mean, people like Licking County. Home prices continue to go up right now, but Central Ohio is definitely adding more inventory than we had before the pandemic. The interesting part is if you go to Hamilton County, down 27% in inventory. You go up to Cuyahoga County, down 38% compared to pre-pandemic. Look at some of these other counties. Geauga County, down 70%. Down 70% in the number of homes for sale. Folks, you got to have inventory to cause a price crash. That doesn't matter if you're talking about Bitcoin, which you can't really create more inventory with Bitcoin, but there can be a lot of sellers. So it's the same principle, right? If you have more widgets on the shelf versus more people buying the widgets, prices are going to go down. Right now, that's not happening in 92% of Ohio counties. So Geauga County down 70%. Van Wert County down 56%. Glazy County, am I saying that right? I should know my Ohio County pronunciations. Down 61%. Mercer County down 53%. Lawrence County down 57%. Athens County down 57%. I mean, there are areas of Central Ohio, you could call Central Ohio, where we have less inventory, but some of them are up a lot. But like Knox County down 21%. Morrow County down 13%. Muskingum County down 18%. Perry County down 4%. Guernsey County down 41% since 2019. Anyway, I'll link this map in my description below once the live's done, and you guys can check it out. It's interactive, and you can go to it and kind of click around. But yeah, I mean, if you go back to this data right here, this is now we're going into more of a chart form data. You can see that active homes for sale right now, they are up 13%. And now this is year over year. So if I go back, if I change this to a value, and it's important you know this stuff. If you really care about the housing market in Ohio, you really want to know what's happening, you need to know the overall trend, and then we can dive into these specific areas. But 29,000 homes for sale right now at the end of July, rather. But look back for a second. Look back in May of 2012. Look at the number of homes for sale. Let that sink in. 70,000. Folks, we're not even close to that. And we grew only month over month, we grew 200 listings, right? No, that's not right. Yeah, 200 listings from 29,000 in June to 29,237. Point being, back in 2012, this isn't even the GFC. So they don't show me back to 2007. If I did, it would blow your mind. But in 2012, we had 70,000 homes for sale. Now, check this out. Look at this. Look at the median sale price back in 2012 in Ohio. I mean, not to rub salt in the wounds, but $123,000 for the median sale price in Ohio. When we had how many homes? 70,000 homes on the market. Let's look at new listings real quick and see what that shows us. So the weird thing is with new listings, look at this. Right now we added 15,000, and we had back in 2012, we only had 16,000. I guess we at one point in May we had 18,000, but an extra 1,000 or so really helps. But if we go back to that median sale price, you can see how it's climbed through the years. And look at inventory. Look what it's done. Look at inventory. I mean, if you hear somebody say that the housing market's going to crash nationally, locally, and they can't tell you if there's somebody on YouTube, if they're a realtor, if they're a housing expert, and they can't tell you specifically or relatively close what the inventory looks like in the United States and how it's trending, or in the area that they're talking about, if they can't tell you that, they don't know the housing market. It's all driven by inventory. And I know people on my channel will tell me it's driven by buyers. But it's true that it's driven by buyers from a median sale price standpoint, but the supply end, that supply dynamic, will drive the pricing, because the more homes you have, the more competition sellers have, the more choices buyers have, and the less desperate they are. Think about anything that's been short. Toilet paper. Look at Bitcoin. Look at gold. Everybody's all freaked out about gold right now and Bitcoin. Why? Because it has a limited supply, right? If Bitcoin was unlimited, like you could make Bitcoin any day, Tom, Dick, or Harry can make Bitcoin, it would probably be a lot less valuable. Same with gold. That's why the US dollar continues to decline, right? Because you can print more of it. So with the supply of housing, it's clear as day. It doesn't really get any clearer than this. Look at the inventory, how it fell. Now it's rising, though. That's a good thing, right? We need that. Now look at the median sale price. It continues to grow. So that's what's happening with inventory. Now let's look at this. Sale to list price ratio. This is what happens when inventory grows. So you saw inventory back in, look at inventory, how it's starting to grow now, right? Like at one point in July, we had 19,944 active homes back in 2023. How many do we have here? 27,898. Now 29,237. So as that inventory has grown over the past few years, look at what's happened to the sale to list price ratio. This is the percentage that somebody pays based on the asking price. So if I'm asking $100,000 for a home, that doesn't really exist now in Ohio. It did at one point, not anymore. If I'm asking $100,000 for a home and I sell it for $100,000, I got 100% of my asking price, right? So look at this. Right now, 99.1. So sellers in Ohio, on average, are getting basically nearly what they're asking, minus 1%, right? Look back when inventory was really bad, though. Look at what happened. 102.5%, 102, call it 103 for rounding. So 103% of asking price. People were overpaying on average compared to the asking price. But as inventory built, what happened? That started to drop. Supply and demand dynamics, folks. That's all it's about. So there are a lot of people, you got to be careful when you hear people tell you that the housing market's going to crash. Doesn't matter where it is. If they can't prove that inventory doesn't matter what they think is going to happen. Give me the data right now, like I'm doing. The facts are inventory has dropped. Inventory has grown somewhat in Ohio, and you're seeing some prices start to moderate somewhat, right? I mean, they came down month over month. So that's a start. We are up 5.7% year over year, though. So Anyway, that's just some supply and pricing dynamics overall in Ohio. So let's look at some of these counties y'all asked for. That's one of these days I'm gonna have to do them all, like 88 counties. Maybe I'll do like a New Year's Eve special or something. Let's just go to the biggest ones first. Yeah, let's go to the biggest ones first. And I'm going to use their, oh man, they're not going to let me. Do they let me use county? Let me see. I think I'm going to use their monthly data because it just got updated, I think today. Ah, they do. Okay, good. I just want to make sure. Okay, county. Let's do Franklin County. All right, let's start with new listings in Franklin County. You know what? Yeah. 1,722 new listings hitting the market. That year-over-year change in Franklin County. Look at this. This is insane. This is exactly what you do not want to happen. So forget earlier when I said, hey, I think Franklin County may have some price pain. I had not looked at this data set yet. Down 8.6% in new listings. Down 8.6%. That's insane. That means you've got 8.6, call it 9% fewer people listing homes in Franklin County versus last year. That's not good if you want lower prices. That's not good at all. That means sellers, and overall, this is a fact in the US, sellers aren't in distress. If they were, you would see a lot more new listings hit the market. Active listings. I'm sorry. Let me do inventory. Different than active listings. How they measure it. So active inventory. How many homes for sale? We're up 18%. But at one point, we were up 34% in Franklin County. And that tells me simply that inventory starting to fall. And we're seeing that nationally, by the way, inventory falling. It's completely counterintuitive to what many thought would happen. Not naming anybody, just telling you there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are like wishing for a housing market crash to the point that they've convinced themselves of things that they know is not right. They know that they're not correct information, but they're still presenting it because they want to crash so bad. I mean, if you buy a home, if you don't buy a home, I could care less. Doesn't bother me at all. I'm going to do what I do. But I just want to give you the right data. Okay, so that's inventory. Let me go back to this value. So we have 3,595 homes on the market. Last month, we had 3,641 homes on the market in Franklin County, meaning that inventory, in fact, fell. Inventory fell. That's not good. You need to see more and more inventory to get lower prices. Let's look at home sales. How many homes are selling? 1,465 homes had sold last month. Let's look at year-over-year change. And look at this, though. Number of homes sold is down 6.6%. So on the other side of the coin, if you want lower prices, this is a good thing to see in Franklin County, having year-over-year decline in home sales. That means that fewer people are buying. However, you have fewer people listing. So that's kind of a wash. It's kind of, the sellers and buyers are kind of pounding heads. All right. Let's look at median sale price now. Median sale price up 0.2% in Franklin County. The value, $330,000 in Franklin County. It's down slightly from last month when it was at $340,000. Now you notice every year it goes up in July, then comes down. Goes up in the summer, then comes down. Goes up in the summer, comes down. So this is not abnormal to see prices fall at this time of year. but nonetheless, they're high, right? They're high. I mean, who would have thought back in the day? Look back in the look at this. $148,000 in Franklin County back in the day, back in 2012. And by the way, can't help myself. What did inventory look like back then? Yeah, look at inventory back in 2012. 6,700 homes for sale. And right now, 3,595. So we need, I mean, you're really going to need double the inventory maybe in Franklin County to see some type of lower home price. Anyway, that was Franklin County. Let's get to, and I will take some comments if there are any. I've kind of done a strange time today. All right, this is Licking County, home of the Intel plant, or the mothballed Intel plant, or the fake Intel plant, whatever you want to call it. Let's look at new listings in Licking County. What do we got? 261 last month hit the market. Let's look at the year-over-year change. Again, down 0.8%. Sellers are pulling back, folks. Sellers are definitely pulling back. A lot of them are like, you know what? Now's not the right time to list. I'll wait till next year. I get a lot of comments like that on my channel. I have clients that are telling me that. Let's look at inventory of homes for sale. That's up 17% year over year. You need to see that. Let's look at value. How's that's trended? I mean, Licking County is adding inventory. They're saying we have 627 homes for sale in Licking County. Let's look at homes that have been purchased. How many? 205. That's down 11.6%. So there's a point at which people can't afford homes. Locals can't afford homes. And they're just not going to buy, right? They're just going to be like, no, thanks. The other thing is there's a lot of houses in Licking County that are, believe it or not, expensive and make no sense to purchase. Like a $700,000 house in Newark, right? That doesn't match the demographic at all for the buyers there. A $200,000 house, great. $700,000 house, no. And there are a lot of expensive homes in Granville. That's where I live. I live in Granville. A lot of expensive homes here sitting on the market. I mean, expensive homes in Granville will sit. Most of them are way overpriced. I did see a foreclosure recently on an expensive home. I missed that one on my radar. But yeah, so, you know, homes, the point is that people are pulling back on buying homes overall. I see it all the time in my comments. Let me know if you are watching this on the live or later. Are you waiting to buy a home in Ohio? Are you like, no thanks, I'm out? Are you like, hey, I'm buying right now? I do have clients looking for homes in Ohio right now. They're ready to buy and they're looking for an opportunity. They're looking for a deal. They're not, you know, they're not just buying what they find on the MLS, like, you know, sight unseen. They're like, no, I want to find something that really makes sense. I'm taking my time. That's how it should be. So home sales down in Licking County. Let's look at median sale price. What do we got there? Median sale price up 13%. Is that right? That's insane. Year over year. What is it now in Licking County? Holy Toledo. $350,000. It's an all-time high. Again, it's median though, right? For all the entire county. So you got an area like Newark where the median price is like 260, I think. And you get an area like Granville where the median price is anywhere from 650 to 850. So that kind of all plays into it. $350,000. That's just unbelievable. Okay, let me take a couple comments if you guys have any. Art of War. Cool name. Good morning from Columbus. What's up, Art of War? It's a good book. It's actually an album by an Ohio music group, if anybody can guess that, back in the day. Chillicothe, that's what you want to know about. Triple R, Triple H. All right, let me star that. I don't think I have that on my list. I'll do that one. Are those lacking inventory? I don't understand your question. But what's up? Browus something, Perjuous? Is that how you say that? I don't think I said it right. Lacking inventory. Are you talking about my map? Give me some info, what you're talking about. Hawking has a lot of Airbnbs. They do have a lot of Airbnbs. You're right. They do. I think you're talking about this map here, right? Yeah. Hawking County. The inventory on the market has exploded there. Exploded. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are people that are probably doing well in Hawking County with Airbnbs. But to me, a glitzy Airbnb is the last thing that I want to invest in. I love Airbnb though, but I invest in the ones I own are utilitarian. They have professors and nurses and basketball coaches staying there, and they're just simple little apartments. They're nothing. They're not experiences. And hence my operating cost and my overhead's very low, and the profit on them is fantastic. So Airbnb can be great if you use it right, but I think a lot of people got in over their skis. By the way, this is a public service announcement. Who said this? Triple R, Triple H. You're exactly right. If you are looking for a cabin or a property even a distressed property, maybe in Hocking Hills, right now is the time to start looking and going after it and make disrespectful offers, because Hocking County, the inventory is up a lot, 81%. That's an outlier. I don't really want a cabin down there, but maybe you can find a deal. Thanks for mentioning that. That's a great observation. Let me go back to this. You know what? I'll look at Hocking today. Fairfield County, you got it. Fairfield County on the list. If no one can afford a house, that's market crash. Inventory does not matter that much. County population is lower and does not require large inventory. Well, it doesn't require large inventory. So a couple things. I understand what you're saying, and you're right. But if you remember right, back during COVID or after COVID, when there were no homes on the market and no inventory, what did prices do nationally? They continue to go up. They defied logic because nobody was buying, because to your point, no one could afford a house, but there was no inventory. So believe it or not, there are 4 million transactions in real estate every year in the United States. 4 million. That's a low number, by the way. So we're at historical low levels of sales. Given the fact that we're at historical low levels of sales, but prices overall have not come down nationally year over year. I mean, they've come down from their peaks, but they're not year over year declining yet. It's easy to see that inventory isn't all that matters, but it's like the linchpin you can look at, because if you have a ton of homes for sale and you have just a few buyers, obviously those few buyers are going to have a lot of choices, and the sellers are going to get desperate and keep cutting their prices, versus what we saw right after COVID, especially here in Ohio, where you had no inventory. Even though we had nobody buying homes, prices continued to go up. They're still going up right now, right? Year over year. So it's you do have to have buyers and you have to have demand. But if you have no inventory, the little bit of demand you have out there is going to drive the home prices up, because nothing's on the market to buy. Again, there are people buying and selling every single day. I mean, I'm a realtor. I can tell you I've helped people buy and sell homes this year. So at the end of the day, though, people do have to be able to afford the home. And so if you see that inventory build, if sellers are more desperate, I guess, than buyers, that equilibrium will shift and prices will come down, but you got to have the inventory. I hope that made sense. But I like your points though. Good morning, John. How are you? Good morning from Vegas. Woo! The spelling of your first name is very unique. Thanks for the valuable information. Yeah, Mike Zuber called me out yesterday and pronounced it Jason, I think. Yeah, Jason. And my mom, I mean, I was born in the 70s, right? My mom was unique. She probably thought that's how you spelled Jason, for all I know. Very true, especially in rural counties. The only people who can afford houses are from cities or out of state. It seems like those type of buyers have dried up. Maybe they have, or the supply has outpaced what little demand we had, right? Yep, I got Fairfield County on my list, Monique, already. Intel skate park. Boom. That's a good idea, right? Turn it into a skate park. What if, like, in 10 years, that thing is mothballed and abandoned, which would be really sad, right? But you could go out there and, like, walk around and do one of those, like, abandoned structure videos. That'd be kind of cool. I hope it doesn't get to that, but it may. I'm a seller that bailed. Tell us more, Triple R, Triple H. I'd love to hear more about what you got going on. Tell us why you bailed. Did you have it listed? Did you take it off the market? $650K for a home in Sardina, Ohio. I don't know if I've ever heard of that city. Is a massive disconnect. Probably, yeah. I got it. 10-4, Monique. I got it. Fairfield County. What's up, Nick? We're waiting to buy. These prices are outrageous for the houses you are getting. The prices do not match what the local population can afford. It's sad to say this. You're not going to want to hear it, but the top 20% do a lot of the buying. They just do. And so there are people out there that can afford homes. There are. I'm not saying that that's you or that the prices make sense. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there are people out there that are transacting with these home prices. Now, and interest rates, by the way, we can talk about that. Interest rates are now down, I think, to 10-month lows right now. It'll be interesting to see if they drop further, what will happen. I'm getting cold calls all the time from businesses wanting to buy properties. I'm sure you are. I send out letters to people, to houses I drive by, and I'm like, hey, that one looks like it'd be interesting, and I write it down and send them a letter. I'm sure you are. That's because investors know that housing can be a great investment if you buy it right. Moody must be reporting according to their mood. Well, here's hey, Orville, what's up? That's funny. The other part about this is people will look at that report and say that's not right. But there's a lot of people that love the Moody's report when they downgrade the U.S. debt, right? They're like, the U.S. credit rating is down, and people point at that and go, see, the housing market's going to crash. And you're like, well, Moody's, I don't know if they're right 100% of the time, but I thought their observations were interesting. Someone slightly misled those poor sellers. Some of them, right? You just got to price it right. You can still sell a house today. You just got to price it right. Stark County. Let's look at Stark County. I'll look at that one. I live in Monroe County. Can't believe 70% more inventory. Yeah, let's look at that. All right, great. We got great ones to look at. I got a ton of them. Here we go. Sorry for the delay. Well, look. Oh, I got to mention this again. I keep forgetting. Give me I'm not begging for money by any means, but I'm stopping ads on the lives. But in exchange for that, all I ask is for some super chats. My goal last week on the national update was 5. I got 5. That helps the channel. It helps me, keep this thing going. And I spend a ton of time on this, as you can tell. And I'm not, there's no ad revenue for these lives. So I've turned that off. And I'll keep it off as long as I get super chats. If I don't get any super chats, then I'm just going to turn it back on if it doesn't matter. Let's go to Monique is like, she's hot to trot on this. So let's get Fairfield County out of the mix. Whoops. All right, Fairfield County. Unreal. Unbelievable. Right? Just unbelievable, some of this data. All right, new listings. 252 new listings last month hit the market. How is that in Fairfield County? That's up 4%. So you had some new listings hit the market. That's good. You want that. Home sales. How many people are buying homes in Fairfield County? Year over year, you're down 0.9%. So that's the equilibrium you want to see for lower prices. Those of you that are like, hey, prices are prices are they need to come down. Well, you got to see more new listings. You got to see fewer people buying homes. Now let's do inventory. Let's see what that's doing. Inventory's up 13% in Fairfield County. Now this is year over year, not since 2019 like we were looking at earlier. 481 homes for sale at the end of July. That's what that means. Now, let's look at, you know what? Let's look at that sale to list price ratio. 98.6. So, to someone's point earlier, you're not going to sell a home unless it's priced right. And that's true. And that's why you're seeing this 98.6% rather than look back here in 2021, 104, 105% sale to list price ratio in Fairfield County. 105% back in 2021. That's just unreal. Now, 98.6. So buyers now, in a way, in some of these markets, they're definitely gaining control because inventory is rising, right? Albeit at a slow rate. Be nice if it went up faster. But now buyers are basically getting a 1.4% discount on average. That's not even like there's people getting a better deal. That's why pricing your home is so important if you're a seller. If you don't price that thing right out of the gate, you're definitely, there's a good chance you're going to sell it for less than you would have if you'd have just priced it aggressively out of the gate. If you overprice it, you're done for. And that's a normal market, by the way. Okay, so that's value. Now let's look at well, we can look at this real quick. Sold above list. How many homes were actually sold above asking? 29.6% of homes in Fairfield County were sold above asking. 30%. Nationally, I think it's like 26%. Let's look at days on market. I should have looked at this in Licking County, but I didn't. 42. Meaning what's the median days a property sits on the market? Now, how much is that year over year? Only up 1 day. So the odd thing is in Fairfield County, you have more inventory, you have a lower sale to list price ratio, but you've got median days on the market only up 1. So homes are basically moving as fast as they were last year, about the same. Let's look at, let me go back to inventory real quick. Look at the value of inventory. 474 homes for sale in Fairfield County. Look back in 2012. 773 homes. You're not that far. I mean, you have definitely some room to go, but it's not half. I mean, if you go back to pre-pandemic, it's like, where are we? 450? Yeah. Now 481. So you're back to pre-pandemic levels in Fairfield County. That's great. Now, the coup de grace is median sale price, right? Let's see what this all translates to. $350,000, $352 in Fairfield County. Not an all-time high. That was $357 in February. It'll be interesting. February last year, rather, was the all-time high. I want to get that right. Let's look at year over year. Year over year prices in Fairfield County up 5% year over year. Let's go back and look at the value. Yeah, look back in 2012, you're at 150 grand, right? Man, it would be great if they had 2000 and, the GFC on here, but they don't go back that far. And you can really see it here. They kind of like went up, but not at a rapid rate. But man, right around here, 2020, COVID, look what happened. Just up, up, up. But now they're leveling off. There's no doubt. They're leveling off in that growth, right? If I look at that, maybe I look at the month over month growth. What's that going to show me? Oh boy, the chart's rough to look at. Let me look at year over year. Up 5%. I mean, but some of these numbers here are going to scare you. Look at this. In November of 2021, home prices in Fairfield County were up 24%. In November 2021, that's nuts. In March of 2020, they were up 27% year over year. That's what caused those prices. I mean, that's the data behind it. You can see how prices completely went parabolic after COVID or during COVID, I guess. And people were paying 104% of the asking price. What? Whatever. In Fairfield County. So Monique, there you go. There's your Fairfield County. What else I got on here? Who else is on here? That was my Fairfield County. Chillicothe. The city or the county? Let's do the county. Is there a Chillicothe County? No, there's not a Chillicothe County. There's Coshocton County. I don't know what I'm talking about, Jay. Let me do this. Sheesh. There we go. There's a Chillicothe, Illinois, too. Look at that. Chillicothe, Ohio. What's up with Chillicothe, Ohio? Inventory. Let's do new listings. Some of these smaller cities, they don't give you a whole lot of data, but 43 new listings last month in Chillicothe. Let's do year over year. Year over year, that's up 34%. That's a lot, right? Of course, there's only 40-some new listings. But let's look at inventory because that's really going to tell us what's going on. Inventory is up 55% there year over year. 55%. Yeah. 81 homes for sale in Chillicothe, Ohio right now. And if you look back, I mean, I'm trying to go back. I mean, that's a... Wow. Wow. You got to go all the way back to 2020 to see that kind of inventory in October. I mean, inventory was definitely higher back in 2015. Look at that. You had 208 homes for sale. And then that's kind of dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. But you are gaining inventory. There's no doubt in Chillicothe, you are gaining inventory. And that's good if you want prices to come down. Let's see if it's changing prices at all. $159,000 for the median home price in Chillicothe. Now let's do year over year. What do we got there? Down 17%. Now, again, let's look at home sales, though, real quick before we get excited. Home sales up 13%. How many homes sold? 26. You added, how many did you add? 46? 43. So you added a few listings to the market. But the good news is that sales aren't keeping up with the inventory that's added. And median sale price now is definitely lower than it was this time last year, right? If I look at that year over year, look at that, down 17%. Let's look at sale to list price ratio. 98.1. So 2% discount basically in Chillicothe. Okay. I hope that helped. But if you could probably, I mean, just watch the inventory. You can literally come into the monthly data here or the weekly data up here that I usually review as the weekly data. But because we just got fresh monthly data from Redfin, I thought it'd be better to look at this today. But you can look at the monthly or you can look at the weekly data. And if you can't figure it out, if you need some help, my email is in the description below. Email me. I'm glad to help you, give you some more specific data. But you really want to watch for what's happening with inventory if you're trying to figure out where prices are going to go, where they could go. You got to have more inventory, less demand, basically, for price to come down. All right. That was Chillicothe. What's next? Stark County. Stark County's getting crazy. Stork. I type slow. My kid always makes fun of me. You know, one of the other things you could do on Redfin here is you can actually compare different counties. You can leave both of these up at the same time to kind of see, hey, I'm looking at these two places to live. What looks like, compare one to the other. And it's kind of helpful, but the graphs are so close together that sometimes it's not helpful. So just for visual reasons, I'm going to remove this one and just look at Stark County. New listings in Stark County. What do we got? 483 last month hit the market. Okay. Let's look at the year over year change there. Up 0.8%. That's it. Year over year. So you're not, maybe a few more sellers are entering the market there, but not many. Homes sold. How many are there? You're up 6.7% in Stark County with the number of homes sold. So more people buying, fewer people listing. That's usually not good for inventory. So let's look and see what happens with inventory. Up 0.8. Was new listings up 0.8? Yeah. Inventory up 0.8%. That's it year over year. That's insane. That's not good. 635 homes for sale. So it looks like, let me just look at the new listings really closely again. 483. Then if I look at homes sold, I mean, there are more people putting their home on the market than people actually buying in Stark County, but it's not helping inventory that much because inventory barely grew. And if I go back to pre-COVID, what do we have? Oops, sorry. Yeah, this is one of those markets. Look at this. You had 1,174 homes for sale before COVID. 1,174. Now 635. That right there is the problem. You just got to have more homes for sale. Median sale price. What are we doing there? In Stark County, $230,000 for the median sale price in Stark County. Let's go year over year. That's up 6.9%. Wow. So in a county like this, somebody is buying these homes. I mean, the home sales are up, right? Yeah, up 6.7%. So the idea that like no one's buying at all is false, because if people weren't buying, then if nobody was buying at all, then you would have inventory would be exploding. But it's really not in Stark County. What's going on in Stark Counties? Whoever made this comment, you said Stark County is getting crazy. Obviously. Goodness gracious. Wow. Anti-troll comedian. I live in Monroe County and can't believe 70% more inventory. Let's look at Monroe County. Well, he only had five home sales last month. That's it. Inventory. What do you have here? 43 homes for sale in the whole county. Wow. Wow. But that's like look at that though. That's a 13-year high in inventory. 43, believe it or not. That's nuts. Let's look at, there's not a lot of data here, so that makes it a little challenging. Only 15 new listings hitting the market. Median sale price, what's that doing? $160,000 from Monroe County. $160,000. Let's look at year over year. Down 36%. What in the world? Yeah, this isn't going to give us great data. I'm sorry, because there's not that many transactions. I mean, 160 grand, and this thing is up and down like crazy. Like last month, it was 170 grand. Then it was 85 grand a few months ago. There's just not a lot of transactions. So your best bet, if you're down to this few of transactions in an area, you're going to have to get with a realtor to get, really, really localized data. All right. And if you're joining us, hit the thumbs up. Tell me if you enjoy the no ads, if that is beneficial, or if you don't even care. Let's do the next area. What do you got? I did Fairfield County. Stark County, I did that. Did Monroe. Yeah, top 20% are the economy. You're absolutely correct, James. You all should maybe tune into The Uneducated Economist. Unique channel out of Astoria, Oregon, home of the Goonies. And that guy will school you on the top 20% versus everyone else. Moody's is a darn lie. Some people think that, wages have not kept up with all. Yeah, crazy, right? What Tessa's referring to is this report by Moody's. I think I linked it in my description, but they're basically saying that homes are only overvalued by 8.3% in the U.S. But in Ohio, like in Columbus, they're overvalued by 30%. So they're saying that the overvalued, the percentage of which homes are overvalued has been dropping because incomes have been rising faster than home prices throughout the nation. That's what Tessa is referring to. Pretty interesting article. All right. All those homes require very reliable house inspections. Some inspectors work in favor of the seller real estate biz. So people say that, and I understand why you would think that, but like legally, I have to give, this is how it works. I mean, just full transparency. If I have a buyer who wants to buy a home and I help them find a home and then they go into contract on it and they want to have an inspection, legally, I have to give them as a realtor 3 inspection companies. I have to give them 3 names at least. I can't, and they're really strict about this stuff. Like I can't receive a kickback from the inspection company. I just can't do it. It all has to go through my broker, and you're not allowed to get a kickback. So I have no incentive as far as what inspection company somebody uses. I could care less. And the seller doesn't choose at all. It's the buyer. And actually, the buyer owns the inspection agreement, or I'm sorry, the inspection report. They can't even, they can share it if they want to, but the seller doesn't have any rights to it at all. Is this data of, yes. Yep. David, absolutely it is. Just go to Redfin. It's the links in my description, but if you go in there and go to their data center, you can look at the top is weekly data, bottom where I'm looking at today is monthly data. You can even export the data into Excel if you want. But yeah, this is all publicly information. Are there stats for how old listed houses are in those counties? For how old listed houses are? Yes, the median days on market. So like in Monroe County, I think that's where we are right now. If I look at, and I don't always show this because if I show too many stats, it gets way too long. But days on market is here. So 64 days on market. That's what in Monroe County. I'm guessing a lot of farms. That's my guess. That's a complete guess. I don't know that that's true, but that's what you're seeing. 64 days on market, median, right? All the homes that sell, how long do the one in the middle take to sell? If I look at a year over year change, that's down 100. What in the world? 105%. There's just not a lot of transactions. So the year-over-year changes with this data can be strange if you don't have a market where there's a lot of transactions. But we'll look at another market here in a minute and see what we can find. Like, let's do Hamilton County. Okay, this will give us a better look to answer your question. That's a great question. So I'll go ahead and do Hamilton County. Let me look at days on market to start off with. So days on market is 42 days in Hamilton County. If I look at the year-over-year change, 4 days. So last year, homes were selling 4 days faster in Hamilton County. 4 days slower this year. Let's look at new listings. In Hamilton County, we got 1,105 new listings. That is how we're trending year over year. Only up 1.4%. That's a big problem. I'm seeing this in more markets than not, where new listings are just stagnant, sluggish, like a wet sponge. All right, now inventory is up 14% in Hamilton County. All right. 2,397 homes for sale. Last month you had 2,394 homes. So you gained 3 homes. That's not very much. Not a huge gain. Look back during COVID. Look at this. 708 homes for sale at one point. But again, the trend in Ohio and actually the nation is that you can see the number of homes for sale continues to decline. Although it has picked up recently. But overall, there's a decline there, right? But if you can't get more new listings to enter the market, you're going to have a problem with inventory. So look at home sales. 894 home sales. What happened last month? Is that year over year? That's up 2.6%. So you sold 800. What was that number? 894 homes. How many did you add in new listings? You added 1,100. So you basically netted, like, theoretically 200 homes. You see how that works? So netted about 200 homes that were left on the market, as long as people didn't take them off the market, didn't delist them. As long as that didn't happen, you should have gained inventory. Median sale price. What's up with Hamilton County, Ohio? $295,000 median sale price. Is that an all-time high? Yes, that's an all-time high. Unfortunately, year over year, up 1.8%. So homes, prices are still going up in Hamilton County. It's at an all-time high. But look back again. Some of these stats are crazy when you go back in time. Look at this. Like before, like right around, let's see, April 2021, homes went up 21% year over year in Hamilton County. 21%. Wow. And they've only been negative a few times, right? Negative. Well, they're flat there, down 1.1% back in June of 2024. But your inventory is it was growing at one point. With number of homes for sale, you're actually at 175% year over year. In April of 2024, like, inventory shot through the roof. But now it's down to 14% year over year. So yep. Just need more. More. All right. That was Hamilton County. What else do we got? Lake County. Yes. I'll do that one. Somebody asked for that one already. Let me mark these off. Otherwise I'll forget. So I did Hamilton I did Franklin. I did Licking. Somebody wanted Clark. Okay. Lake County. Got it. And by the way, just as I'm pulling this up, a lot of YouTubers, apps like Reventure Consulting, even analysts out there like Melody Wright, they all use, like, they'll either use realtor.com or they will use Redfin, or they'll use Zillow data, the raw data you can download, as their basis of analysis. So, like, Reventure Consulting uses just Zillow estimated data. So if you don't like Zillow, if you don't believe Zillow, a lot of maps and graphics you see from different analysts out there with the housing market rely on Zillow. And so that's just is what it is as far as, data available. All right, let's do new listings in Lake County. 362 new listings last month. How is that year over year? That's up 15%. Wow. So you got definitely some more listings there. That's good. Great to see that. How many homes for sale? 490. Are we growing? That's up 11%. Is that good? I mean, it's better than being down. I'll say that. It may not be exactly what you want, but it's better than being negative. Let's look at home sales. Homes sold down 1%. And you only sold how many homes? 291. Let's look at new listings and see how many you added. So you added 362 new listings. You sold 291. So you added some. That's great. You added some inventory. You want to see that if you need lower prices. Even as a seller, it's better to have some comps to compare your stuff to, your home value to, your home value to. Year over year, I'm going to check home sales again. Down 1%. Let me look at it month over month. Month over month, up 13%. So I don't usually look at that stat, but I was just curious. In Lake County, you got 13% more people buying homes in Lake County compared to last month. Median sale price. Let's look at this. Up 12% median sale price, and now the value is all-time high, unfortunately, in Lake County, $255,000 for the median sale price. Now, with Redfin, and I don't know how this is going to go on this with this data, but you can actually go in and look at the different types of properties. So I can say, well, I just care about single-family houses. That's $269,000. Okay. I care about condos only. $191,000 median sale price. How about 2 to 4 unit buildings? $200,000. And then a townhouse, which is similar to a condo, I guess. $300,000. Wow. So townhouses are more expensive than single family houses in Lake County. Who would have known? But you can break it down like this if you want to. So if you come in here and you want to look at your area, and you can look at like town. I don't think you can look at zip code. No, you can look at metro, the national look, the county look, a place or city, which is like a small town, versus metro, which is like a bigger area, and then the state, obviously. And then you can break it down by type of property. So all residential, $255,000 median sale price. And that was up, what did we say? Up 12%. So homes continue to get more expensive. That's an all-time high, right? I may have already said that, but yeah, all-time high by far in Lake County. These prices are unhinged. They just continue to go. So the growth in inventory hasn't really affected a lot of these places yet. It's crazy. So that was Lake County. Brown. Yeah, I can. Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely look at that. Nick, thanks for asking. Brown County, Ohio. Let's look at new listings first in Brown County. What do we got? 55 new listings. That's down 20%. But again, only adding 55 new listings, it's going to be that year over year number is going to be crazy. So let's just look at this historical chart. 55 new listings. If I go back like before the pandemic, what do we got? 65 before the pandemic in July of 2019. You had 65. Now you got 55. So not as many new listings hitting the market. Let's look at inventory and see what we can find. 147 homes for sale in Brown County. Back in 2019, 199 homes for sale. So you're below pre-pandemic levels, definitely. And when that's like 25% approximately fewer homes for sale. That's not good. Let's look at median sale price. What's up with that? Median sale price, $269,000, not an all-time high. You hit that in May of 2024, 296. Now it's 269,000. So how is that year over year? 7.6% up year over year. So yeah, it's it's obviously up and down depending on what month you're in as far as year over year goes. In some of these areas where there's just not a lot of transactions, you're going to see that kind of volatility, but definitely pay attention to this inventory. There's no doubt. I mean, right now, inventory year over year is down 4.5%. But if I look at the value, you've built inventory since your lows. I mean, look back in, goodness gracious, you had 62 homes for sale in July of 2023. Now you've got 147 homes for sale. So from the low during the I guess that's the end of the pandemic, I suppose, in 2023. Since the lows, you've definitely gained inventory. So if you continue to see that, eventually prices will soften. They just will if you continue to gain homes for sale. The danger there is that something occurs in the market, in the economy, where it encourages more people to buy homes. What could that be? Lower interest rates. People buy on payment. They don't buy on price. Not saying you do that or you should do that, but that's how people buy products and homes. So if they can afford the monthly payment, they're like, yeah, let's go. So yeah, I think if you see some type of crazy lowering of mortgage rates, how low do they have to get? Maybe 5, maybe in the 5s. Like if they get below 6, that could be a problem for people waiting for price declines. Conversely, if rates go up, right, or there's a real recession is officially declared, which I doubt they would ever admit to, but if they did, then that could cause people to pull back, right? A lot of job loss in the area in particular, that's going to cause people to pull back. So those things would help prices and help inventory, but conversely, if the economy doesn't fall apart, if job loss doesn't accelerate, and if interest rates continue to drop, then you're going to see more demand. That's the moral of the story. But watch these inventory numbers in Brown County. Watch them. I just did Lake County. We already talked about that. What about, stats, what year the seller houses were built? I don't have that. That's a great question. I think the average home in the U.S., not for sale, but if I remember right, and I can't even remember the source from this, I think it was 1971 was the average age of a house in the United States. And a lot of people think that as the boomers age, that they're going to give up all these houses. They're just going to give them up to people who want them, I suppose, is what the theory is, I guess. But I think people forget there's a lot of old inventory, especially in Ohio. I don't know what is in Ohio, but it's got to be older than that. We don't build many houses in Ohio. So, great question though. My bank won't issue loans to current home and car buyers because prices are above fair market value. Huh. They won't issue loans to current home and car buyers. Well, they would issue a loan if you were able to find a house at the correct value, right? In other words, when they're appraising the house, they're appraising it at the value that they think it is worth. And I guess you're saying that is below what they're asking for the house. Yeah. Well, then you just go to the seller and say, hey, this thing appraised for 300 and you're asking 350 and we're in contract at 350. Well, I'm only going to give you 300. And if they don't like that, then just go find another house. Right? That's all you can do. The Schaefer Farm. What's up? Hello from your neighbor over in Newark. New subscribers of 3 days ago. Thank you. I appreciate it. And hey, everybody on here, subscribe to the Ohio Housing Nerd. And I have a national channel, the Housing Nerd. But hello from Newark. How you doing? You know what? Let's look at Newark. Let's look at Newark. So here I can go into the place and city instead of the county, and I'm going to go to Newark. Newark, Ohio. All right, what do we got? What's going on in Newark? 89 new listings last month hit the market. And that is a 17% increase year over year. Wow. All right, inventory. How's that doing? Look at that. Wow. 60% increase in the number of homes for sale in Newark. What in the what? Yeah. You have a lot more homes for sale. You know what? Let's do this. Instead of using that chart, we're going to use the MLS because I have access to this data because it's local to Columbus. And I'm going to show you what I do for some clients when they ask for it. Is how I break it down. So I'm going to look in the Newark school system. And I'm really curious to understand, and this is why I use the MLS for this info, because this breaks it down by price point. You may not think this is a big deal. You may be like, why does it matter? But it matters a lot because inventory isn't created equal. That product mix has to be, it has to be correct, right? It has to be correct for you. So when I look at the properties that are active, because we know they're up a lot in inventory, according to Redfin data, as of last month, they're up a lot. If I look, yeah, I mean, it's pretty close to what the MLS is telling me. 56% increase in the number of homes for sale, according to the MLS in Newark, Ohio. But let's look at the breakdown of where that inventory lies. Super important. Redfin won't give us this data, so you have to use a realtor to get it. So if I look at where all the inventory is, you can see right here, 300 to 399 price point. That inventory is up 233% last month. 233%. Year to date, that inventory is up 17%. Meaning if you look at that price band between 300 and 399, you've got a lot more homes for sale right now than you did last year. However, if I look at the 250 to 299 price band, the number of homes for sale is down 8%. If I look at the 200 to 250 band, the number of homes for sale down 5.9%. 180 to 199. Why they break it down in so small increments, I don't know. Such small increments, but look at the down. It's down 17% in the 180 to 199. 160 to $179,000 home. There's a few more for sale. That's good. Look at the 140 to 150. 14 homes are on the market last month in Newark. Last year at this time, there was only one. But virtually every category is down, meaningful category is down year over year in the number of homes for sale, except that 400 to 499 and 300 to 399. That means, folks, that when you see this inventory number, follow me here, when you see this inventory number in Newark or anywhere of 59% more homes for sale, you got to find out what's behind that number. Are they expensive homes or are they homes everybody can afford? Look at the median sale price in Newark. What is it? According to Redfin, it's $244,000. So if the median sale price is $244,000, but the bulk of inventory is priced above $300,000, that means that there's not a lot of inventory on the market for people that are typically buying it. There's just not. So you need more, I guess, homes priced in that 200 to 250 range in order to see prices actually fall meaningfully. That's what that means. I hope that made sense. But that's how I look at the market oftentimes is, hey, where are these price bands? Where are they? Where's all the inventory? I mean, year to date, look at this. In the 400 to 499, year to date is up 61% in the number of homes for sale over 400 grand in Newark. Those are probably new homes. Like I did a new home video on my Ohio, my national channel, not the Ohio channel, the national channel, Housing Nerd. I did a walk and talk at a new home site over on Cherry Valley Road in Newark, and the homes are all over 400 grand, at least. Well, that's where these are. That's the inventory that's out there. So like that inventory that used to be like between 100 and 150, like there's not a lot out there. There's a few, but not many. I mean, the 120 to 139 price point is down 34% year to date. Those homes just aren't being listed. People are like, I'm not going to sell this home. I'm not going to be able to rebuy this home near this price. That's what, if you want to really get granular, that's how I look at it. So it really matters where that price breakdown is. All right. Back to Redfin. So anyway, 244 median sale price. That's just crazy. And we know that that is in Newark. That's down actually 2.8% year over year. It's kind of been trending down too a little bit in sale price over the last few months. You can tell there is a limit at what people can afford, obviously. But in Newark, I'm sure you know this. I'm sure you know this, Schaefer Farm, that in Newark, man, if you list a home that's move-in ready, or you can like move, not even if it's blinged out, if it's just basic. If you list that thing anywhere near $200,000, it's gone immediately. It just is. Move-in ready homes are a hot commodity. They still are in most areas of the U.S. So that is Newark. Did we look at home sales in Newark? I don't know that we did. Yeah, look at look at home sales in Newark City schools. Down 31%. Man, there's just no inventory. Everything's expensive. Everything's expensive. And people are just not buying. Do we look at new listings? Yeah, those are up 17%. That's good, but it's all expensive inventory, unfortunately. But let's go back to home sales and look at the value. What are we seeing? 57 homes. Let me go back to the inventory real quick. Yeah, I mean, look, you got 185 homes for sale right now. Like if you go, that's like, you got to go back to October of 2019 to get that many homes in Newark. Inventory is definitely building. Definitely building. One of the things that could be happening with the new listings around here, tell me what you think, is it possible that because of the Intel uncertainty, there's sellers that are thinking, shoot, I need to sell now. Like I need to put my home on the market now because I think the crash is coming. Maybe that's happening. So, new listings are picking up, but buyers are definitely pulling back in Newark. That's what I see. Let's look at price ratio real quick in Newark. 97.8. It's getting lower. Look where it was back in 2022, 103.8. People were paying 103.8, call it 104% of the actual asking price. Crazy. Crazy. Not anymore. All right. Next metro. I don't think I'm going to get to all these. Banks are tightening up, huh? I don't know if they are or not. Right now, yeah, maybe they are. Maybe your bank is tightening up. Overall, I'm not hearing that, but I was just down there in Warren County. Good stuff. Thank you, Brad. I just went down to Warren County. Took my kid and his buddy to Kings Island. That's like turned into a trip to Disney. It's so expensive. It's ridiculous. It was really hot too, but that's not a big deal. But it was so expensive. Like everything was ridiculous there. $35 to park. The park to park was almost as much as the ticket was. All right, let's look at new listings in Warren County. Whoops. Gotcha. I'll do a few more here before I have to go. I didn't get to all the ones I wanted to, but that's okay. You guys asked for some that I didn't have. New listings in Warren County up 6.2% year over year. Let's look at the value. How many did you add? You added 409 new listings to the market. So you are adding inventory. That's great. Let's look at home sales in Warren County. 331. So you definitely added some compared to how many you sold. Year over year, home sales up 10%. Another factor here to consider is that the more inventory that's added, especially affordable inventory, as that's added, eventually the market will cycle and you'll see more and more affordable homes being added to the market eventually. That will cause buyers to come out and sales will actually increase. The volume will increase. It's almost counterintuitive in a way because a lot of people think, well, realtors are going to struggle when home prices crash. But if there are more transactions, that's how realtors make money. So the higher prices and the market we've been in for the last couple of years have been difficult on a lot of realtors. But if you are active at all in the market, you're going to find opportunities. Sales up 10% in Warren County. Let's look at inventory. What's up with this? Up 22% year over year in the number of homes for sale. How's it doing? I should have looked at this on the other ones, but how's it doing with since 2019? You're down 41% compared to 2019 levels of inventory, though. That's what this map means. Just kind of a different way to look at it. All right. Let's look at value of inventory. Yeah, I mean, you can see that growth. I mean, it's plain as day that the growth is there for inventory. How many homes you're seeing? 739. Let's look at median sale price. Warren County is expensive. $420,000 for the median sale price. Wow. Year over year. Up 3.4%. Man, look back in 2021, you were up 26, 27%. It's nuts. Sale to list price ratio. Let's look at how much people are paying compared to listing price. Sellers there are basically getting asking price, very close to it, 99.5%. So what that means is if you're a buyer and you're like, hey, I want to find a deal in Warren County. Well, people are getting about 99.5% of their asking price. So you're going to have to really hunt. Let's look at days on market. Days on market, 39 days. And that's flat. So homes are moving just as fast as they did last year. It does not look like there's a lot of distress there. It just doesn't. Need more inventory, probably more sellers in distress. It's an expensive market for Ohio. I mean, when the median price in Ohio is $270 and this market's $450 or whatever it is, that's a lot. I mean, that's a big difference. Right? $450. Is that what it said in Warren County? $420. Wow. Last month it was $455. That was an all-time high last month. Unhinged. Yeah, prices are expensive there. Wow. So that's Warren County. Clermont County. All right. I don't know how much we're going to get off of this. Oops. Oh, it's CLE. My bad. All right. Clermont County, Warren County. Let's do new listings in Clermont County. What do you got? 266 new listings hit the market. That is a change of, down 8% year over year. So fewer people listing homes for sale in Clermont County. Home sales, what do you got there? They're down 17%. Goodness gracious. 217 homes sold. And new listings were 266. So like 50 homes got added to the market. Inventory, what do you got there? 535 homes for sale. Year-over-year change. Down 10%, down 11%, whatever you want to call it. Year-over-year, that's not good. You've got fewer homes for sale than you did last year. That's nuts. That's unique. We're not seeing that hardly at all. I mean, at least you usually get a year-over-year increase in inventory. Now it's a decline in Clermont County. What's happening there? We go back to home sales. Home sales are down too. Man. But new listings are way down. So nobody buying, nobody selling there. And so the inventory that's on the market must be sitting there. If you're looking for a deal, by the way, and that's something you see in your market where homes are sitting longer, maybe you pick out a couple different homes and you're like, oh man, these have been on the market 60 days, 70 days. That's when you can go in with a lower offer, right? You just got to be patient. Median sale price, what's up here? 5% up year over year in median sale price. Wow. $315,000 in Clermont County. Man. That's crazy. It keeps going, right? I mean, it's down from last month and it's going to go up and down. That's how median sale price works, but the trend is definitely up. Back in 2012, 147,000. Now, 315. Goodness. Yeah. We're going to be here through all of it to find, to see when the prices actually start to come down, if at all, was improved in Florida by PNC Buddy last week. Oh, okay. You're going to buy in Florida. Cool. Mr. Bad Jokes. Schaefer Farm. Newark's market is pretty wild considering the people who live here. Yeah. To somebody's point earlier, tree guy or tree person. I can never pronounce that name. Local people can't afford some of these prices. They can't, but there are people buying. And the prices are unhinged, right? Most of the inventory stacked way above the median. I live on the east side of Franklin County and rent just went up $200. WTF is this? Right. Be careful with that. Yeah, look, you're going to keep seeing rent increases until landlords can't increase them anymore. And taxes continue to go up. And so as the price for homes continues to go up, as it costs more and more to buy a home, you're going to see rents continue to go up um, unless we see something with the economy where vacancies increase. I will say, and I'm not going to muddle the conversation anymore with more charts, but I just looked at a graph on multifamily construction, and Columbus is one of the higher ones for multifamily construction. What does that mean for you if you're renting? You should see some prices come down if there's more supply on the market for multifamily. Columbus is theoretically oversupplied on multifamily. I mean, look at all the new apartment buildings going up, right? And I don't even know what the rents are. They're probably $2,500, $3,000 a month, right? For a one-bedroom apartment. Blackstone must be stopped. But they don't. They're net sellers right now, though, and they're kind of more focusing on build to rent. And that's not going to happen. Like, I don't predict much in the future of the housing market, but one thing I'm almost certain of is that the government's not going to regulate who can buy rental properties. So you got to figure out a way to get around them. Don't give them any attention. Forget that. Find a way to find an opportunity without them involved. Here's that tree person. I'm just going to call you tree person. Maybe it's better to buy land and build a house from scratch, step by step. You can save 50% easily on all cost. Yeah, I mean, there was a time when you could just stop by the lumber store, right? Any guy could, any person could just stop by with your pickup, grab some lumber, throw a house together on your land. You can somewhat, but a lot of those skills are vanishing. But yeah, that's an option. Build a house. With Mr. Bad Jokes, what's up? We're falling hard in Florida. I would expect that to show up in Ohio eventually. It'll be even harder to buy. It'll be even harder to buy. We're falling. Well, if prices are falling too much, you got to think inventory is building. It's probably easier to buy, right? Different markets, though. I mean, look at the inventory in Ohio compared to Florida. It's completely different. What's up, Nick? Around here, it's lots of old homes that need a ton of work. Right. My favorites are seeing homes built in 1990, 2000 for sub 60,000, and they are listed now for 500,000 without any real updates or upgrades over time. Don't stress, you guys don't stress out about what the person paid for the house 4 years ago. Don't stress out about that. Like, you can't, that's not an indicator of what's going on today. It matters what somebody's willing to pay for a home today. That's where the price is, right? Where you can actually sell the home. That's the market price. So I wouldn't pay attention to what they purchased it for necessarily, but you're correct in the fact that a lot of old homes that need a ton of work. Now, to me, 1990s new. Like, to me, I would be like doing backflips if I bought a rental or an investment property at 1990. I mean, the newest home I own was built in 1957. And that's my primary home. This home I'm sitting in now, or the porch I'm on, that was 1957. That's the newest one I own. Most of the houses I own are 1910, 1905, 1890. So, like, 1990 to me is new. In any case, I understand what you're saying. They need a ton of work, but it's probably not like, it could be like a roof and stuff, but it's not like they need new wiring or new plumbing probably yet. But there are a lot of older homes that need a ton of work. I agree. We are consumers in the United States Corporation of America. Blackstone and other corporations are going to keep driving prices up. When prices come down, I think they will. If prices fall, or if interest rates and the cost to borrow money, if new money enters the system through money printing or lower interest rates or the Fed buying treasuries or whatever they're going to do, you're right. Investors will come back in. I mean, right now, investors are buying 20% of homes in the United States. They're buying 27% of the homes in Cleveland. They're buying 18% of the homes in Columbus, and like 19% of the homes in Cincinnati are going to investors. So their purchase numbers are smaller because there's not as many homes being purchased. But overall, they have basically the same share of purchases that they've had in the past, 5 years. I mean, it's gone up and down, but they haven't vanished by any means. There are people out there that say that they're not buying anymore. Completely false. So you're right. I think they're going to keep driving prices up. When prices come down to point at which you think it's a good deal, chances are there's an investor that thinks it's a good deal too, and they're going to run in and try to buy it. You just got to figure out how to beat them, and there are ways. In Florida, if you're over 700,000, you get big deals. Not a small 3.2 at 300. They disappear in a day. If you're over 700K, you get big deals. Not a small 3.2. I'm not sure what you're saying. 300,000 gets you or they disappear quickly. I would imagine. Yeah. How about Clermont County? I just looked at that. A lot of new construction on the east side of Cincinnati because there's not much room left to build in the suburbs. Just bought a house here and hoping I didn't buy at the peak. Well, we looked at Clermont County, right? We just looked at it. I don't think you bought at the peak. I mean, I'm not a wizard, but like, let me go back to the inventory. I don't have new homes separated here. They don't do that in Redfin. 535 homes for sale. Let's look back in 2019, compare it. Down 42%. So this is why, just from looking at this data, and I understand your concern. This is a big concern I would have too if I was buying Storm Runner. Are you a storm chaser, by the way? If you're concerned about buying at the peak, like you have 42% fewer homes for sale right now than you did in 2019 before the pandemic. So the fact that you're down in the number of homes that far versus 5 years ago or 6 years ago tells me that you didn't buy at the peak. Until you see inventory rise substantially, you may not be at the peak. You may not. Now, home prices probably won't appreciate as fast as they have been over the past few years. But it doesn't seem like they will decline much either. Now, that, anything's possible, but let's look at median sale price. So you can see like the pace at which home prices have been growing in Clermont County has been falling. Like you can see that trend kind of right falling down from the top left to the bottom right. So the growth of home prices isn't accelerating. It's shrinking. But they're still growing. Right? Because right now you're up this month or July, you're up 5% year over year. And if I look at the value of home prices in Clermont County, $315,000. I mean, in 2024 last year, it was 300 grand. In July of 2023, it was 287 grand. In July of that was hard to do. In July of 2022, they were 280 grand. So like, and then if you look down, way before COVID, let's go to like, let's go down to 2018. It was $187,000. So will you get that price appreciation you saw since like from 2018 up through, maybe 2023? No, probably not right now. But prices are still going up. So it depends on a lot, depends on where you bought exactly. Like you said, you looks like you bought a new home. Unless they all of a sudden build a ton of new homes and you see a ton on the market for sale, I wouldn't be really worried about it. And Ohio is still cheap compared to the rest of the country, believe it or not. I mean, taxes aren't cheap. We all know that. But home prices are cheap. Anyway, that's what I'm seeing. So I'm not sure I would be hugely concerned about that. And hopefully you bought with the idea that you're going to be in the house for a while. Like, you're not like, I'm going to flip it in a year. That probably won't work out well. But if you're looking to stay in it a while as your primary residence, I don't know that you should have a ton of concern there. And if you bought in a price point that's affordable for you, like you're at a 25% debt to income ratio on your house payment, your shelter payment versus your income, you theoretically should be okay. That's what I see there in Clermont County. But thanks for asking. What counties do you work independent? I don't know what that means. You have to clarify triple R, triple H. Yep, that's pretty high right now, just still too expensive. It is. Yeah, in Newark, Schaefer Farm, I get it. It's expensive. There are homes out there in Newark to go grab. I would check the Licking County Sheriff's Auction. I would check that. They do have. I know. I know a couple people who bought auction properties as their primary residence. Like they were renting. They went out and bought an auction property. They had to evict the tenants that were not paying, and it was absolutely trashed. And they did a complete rehab on the house and ended up with a great house. It took them a year of work, going over there every night, every weekend, to doing their own work. But they ended up spending like $150,000, and the house will probably appraise for $270 now. So the Licking County Sheriff's Auction is a great place to get deals. I would look at a wholesaler. Like this is a wholesaler that I've shown before. Hmm. Uh, hmm. I want to show you this because this could be a way to get an opportunity. Nah. I can't find it. Sorry. Huh. How embarrassing. You could go to a wholesaler though. So there are wholesalers out there that basically will buy a contract to buy a home. Or I'm sorry, they put a contract to buy a home with a seller. Then they'll sell that contract to anybody, a homeowner, and usually an investor. But those opportunities exist, and you can usually buy it at a discount. So if you Google wholesalers in Columbus, you'll find one. You get on their mailing list, and they'll send you off-market deals all the time. That's another way to find an opportunity. And they have deals in Newark. I just looked at one on Grant Street, I think. Needed a complete rehab, built in 1910. Not for the faint of heart, but it was there, and I think they were selling it for 85 grand. Show me Berea in Cuyahoga County. I just sold my house there. Okay. What kind of house was it? Condo, or what was it? Well, it's Berea. There we go. All right. New listings in Berea. What do we got? 27 new listings last month. Buzz through this. You are building inventory. You got a whopping 27 homes for sale. What in the world? But new listings were 27? That's strange. Median sale price, what's that? $248,000 in Berea. That's what they're saying. Year over year increase, 1.3% up year over year. And what about the inventory up? They say inventory's up 80%. I don't know. That inventory number seems odd to me. I'm not saying it's wrong. It just seems strange. I mean, because how many home sales did you have? Well, you sold 22 homes. You only have 27 homes on the market. So I can only assume that people pulled their homes off the market. I can only assume that sellers did that at some point. But there were 22 homes sold, right? And so you must have been one of those 22. And median sale price last month was 248. But yeah, if you want to share more about that, if you're currently looking for a home, or you are selling a home, or you just sold a home, or you just bought a home, I'd love to hear the story. I'd love to hear more about it. So chime in. All right. Let me just look at this. Geeks of Rage. I think in Florida, from what I've read, they are seeing people leave due to insurance being unattainable for the average people due to constant hurricanes. Yeah, I've had some clients that I've helped buy a home and homes in Ohio who left Florida because of insurance. Then they get here and they're like, wow, taxes are expensive. Sometimes I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. There isn't any money. House Joint Resolution 192 of June 5th, 1933, Public Law 7310. Boy, you're dropping some knowledge there, man. I don't know. Read the affidavit of Walker Todd. It will make you free. Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out. Let me start it. I love book suggestions. I was a loan officer. I worked in real estate. Cool. Looked at a home. Well, here we go. 375 that had knob and tube wiring. Not mentioned nor in the listing picture. Goes without saying, but open house is a must. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to disclose if it has knob and tube wiring. Unless there's a problem with the electric, then you have to disclose it. But just the fact that it's old wiring, you don't have to disclose that. And it's not going to list it. I mean, nobody's going to take a picture of knob and tube wiring. Like, hey, come look at my house. It has knob and tube. You're going to see a lot of that in Ohio. Still, you're going to see a lot of knob and tube wiring. And those are the gremlins you got to watch out for, right? Because that's an expensive fix. That's not cheap. I agree 100%. Everyone has the chance to buy every house. That's true. Just because an investor gets an occasional house doesn't make investors bad people. I agree. I'm biased because I am an investor and a realtor. So, most people, or there are people that don't like me at all because they're like, oh, strike one, you're an investor. Strike two, you're a realtor. I used to sell insurance. Strike three. But, I mean, I think that I don't see the government ever changing that and putting rules in place. How many proposals have we seen? How many people have voiced their concern about it? The people in charge own real estate. Most of them are involved in large funds that hold real estate. They don't want that to go anywhere. I mean, it's free market, right? It's the Cantillon effect, right? New money enters that market, and what happens to the rich and poor? There's more separation. So I'm not wealthy, but I know that I have to be on that top end of the wedge to have a future that is less stressful. And in order to do that, I have to own assets. Some people own Bitcoin, some own gold. I like real estate, so that's why I buy it as an asset. And so it just is what it is. It's not. It just is what it is. Montgomery County here. Cool. Maybe I'll check that one out. High heat and humidity, homes and mobile. Watch out for mold. Yeah, you gotta be careful of all that. Nick, 1990 are the oldest homes where you can typically find reliable sales price data. Just gets worse the older you go. Nothing like seeing a home still rocking the 1970s pink bathrooms at $400,000. Yeah, that happens. That definitely happens. Geeks of Rage, what's up? Investors aren't bad people until they own too much. What's too much though? Like, how do you regulate that? And they have the ability to manipulate prices. That's the reason I don't like these big companies buying stuff. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but a lot of people or a lot of investors sell to only investors a lot of times, unless they really need to sell. That's the problem with the narrative out there that investors aren't buying. They're net sellers. They're hemorrhaging cash. It's like, no, they're just selling the properties that aren't making the money. If they need to sell their whole portfolio, they're going to sell it and put it on the MLS. If they have to sell it and nobody's willing to pay the price from an investor end that they want to sell it for, they're going to put it on the MLS. But we're not seeing that because investors aren't really hemorrhaging. And I don't know that they can actually manipulate prices. I mean, the largest investors own, 50,000 homes, if they were to sell all those at once, yeah, that would be a big deal in the markets that they can sell in or the markets where they operate in. But like, it's like 2% of the housing market. But I understand that's a concern. The question is, what's too much? Baby green, right? And a house that smells, if you walk into a house that stinks, like you walk in and you're like, oh man, that's the worst smell I've ever had or ever been around. That's the smell of opportunity because you can get rid of smells. You have to do a lot of work sometimes, but you can get rid of them. And then it becomes a great opportunity. So something that stinks, that's a discount. That's a discount. Raise taxes on non-ownership occupied homes. These investors need to pay. Everyone needs to call. In Montana, I interviewed a girl in Montana where they actually implemented this. I think it's specific to Airbnbs, or it could just be all rentals, but it's non-owner occupied homes have a larger tax on them. As an investor, do I like the idea? I guess on the surface, no, but I understand it, and I wouldn't be that upset if they put that in place to help out everybody else. That's maybe a way to regulate some investor activity. Or lower taxes for everybody else and keep taxes the same for investors. That's not telling them they can't buy homes. It's just making it a little more financially challenging. It'll also increase rental, though, right? Rent prices. In Clermont County, right? Okay. Yes, I am a realtor in Licking County. Boom. Yes, I am. I'm a realtor in Licking County. 280,000. We listed at $280,000, sold for 304, only on the market for 3 days. Wow. Did you strategically list it lower, or was that like the market price? In other words, did you think, hey, I can probably get 300 for this, but then you decided to list it for 280? This is exactly why listing a house is for a great price and a competitive, compelling price will cause the actual selling price to be higher than if you had probably listed it at 304 or 303 or even 300 maybe. Good job. Bull investors are causing this. Bull investors. What's up, Lori? Asset management. Right. They're managing their assets. Just like a stock or like any asset anybody has. They're like, these, 5% aren't working. We're going to peel them off. There's no affordable homes for sale. So the investors aren't really buying that many right now. Large scale investors, rather. And they're also doing a lot of build to rent. It's more economical for them to build to rent versus buying single family houses spread across the nation. Looking to buy a multi-unit around Columbus. Good for you. Live in one unit and rent out the rest. Any advice? Rick, well done. I can't do a reverse super chat, but I would if I could. This is exactly what a lot of people should be thinking of when they want to enter the real estate market. I imagine you're going to buy like a 2, 3, 4 unit, right? My advice would be, first, make sure that you understand if the building was always a multifamily or not. And by the way, this is my niche. So most of the properties I own are small multifamily, 2, 3, 4 units. Make sure that find out if it was always a multifamily or if it was a large house that was split up. You see a lot of that, like in Newark and a lot of areas of Ohio. You see a big house, like 3,000 square foot house from back in the 1900s that was then split up into multiple units. You want to check that because that'll tell you a lot about, hey, what do you got to watch out for? Like if it was split up, well, the wiring could have been kind of patchwork together as an example. So find that out. You want to understand what exactly the responsibility is of the landlord as far as utilities go, because those can wipe you out. In other words, is the water meter split? Is the electric split? Is the heating split? Sometimes I've seen multifamily where the heating's not split. One tenant controls the heating for the other 3 units. That's nuts. You're just asking for problems, right? You're asking for arguments. And so you want to find out about the utilities, if they've been split or not, who's responsible for them. I would also seriously investigate a 203K loan, an FHA loan, where if you move into the building, you can not only get an FHA loan on the building, but you can get an FHA loan to do the repairs on the building if needed. I would really investigate those programs. Right now, I think FHA is offering like, and I'm not a mortgage professional, but I think it's like a 3% down payment. Yeah, as long as you live in it, right? You got to live in the multifamily. But that's like the housing hack and workaround that not a lot of people will go after. So I commend you for this, Rick. Great job. Even looking that direction's can be great. So yeah, utilities, find out about structurally if it's been split up or not. I would maybe even look at the opportunity to take a 2-unit into a 3-unit if it could make sense for you. That could be a way to maximize your revenue, right? The other thing is make sure you don't count on rent appreciation. Look at what the rents are today or where rents are today. Be realistic about it. Don't go to that top end of the rental, price point. Like if you think, oh, these will rent for $1,000, that's the data that you can find. Well, don't use 1,200 and don't assume you're going to increase rents every single month, or I'm sorry, every single year. Project that rents stay flat just in case. If it's an old building, build in 20% at the beginning, maybe even 25% of your gross income towards maintenance and repairs. The going number is 10% in a lot of multifamily, but in an older building, you may need 25. Everything in older buildings costs 10 times what you think it will. So yeah, I would build in worst case scenarios, be very patient, and you probably will find a good opportunity. Well done. That's how to do it. I really want to understand how this turns out for you. Like if you eventually buy, or you're like, hey, I'm out there looking, this is what I'm running into. I'd love to hear your story. I'm not the wealthiest man I know. I'm not a rich man, but I'm the wealthiest man I know. Cool. My cup runneth over. Right. Ohio school funding found unconstitutional by Supreme Court in 2007. Yeah. But they just kind of ignored that, right? We bought here in Newark in 2016 for 185, refinanced in 2020 for 2.375 for 15 years. That's awesome. Great job. And so the question is, why would you sell your house? Or why, in what scenario would you sell your house, Schaefer Farm? This is a lesson to everybody on the sidelines waiting to buy. And people don't want to face this fact. They don't like it, but it is what it is. This is the reality of the housing market. Schaefer Farm has a 2.375 interest rate. And he paid $185,000 for the house. And he's going to pay it off because he got a 15-year loan. That loan is probably like that same house now with a 30-year loan. The payment's probably more than on a 15-year loan at 2.375 when he paid $185,000 for it, or they paid $185,000. So why would you ever sell? I mean, you'd think you would rent that thing out if you bought a different house. I mean, that thing's, I'm assuming it would cash flow. Oh, you're welcome. VA loan. Yeah. I don't know I think they have that same program. Talk to some mortgage folks. There's some that float around on this channel. But if you email me, Rick, I can plug you into some folks that that do the multifamily FHA loans, VA loans if you need one. I don't, it's just some people I know. If you stay below comps for a rental, it will never be vacant. Yeah, that's true. Generally speaking. We would never sell if we would only sell if we could build something that would be able to retire in. Uh-huh. I'd encourage you to hang on to this Newark house though and rent it out. Unless it doesn't cash flow and you have to have the money for the next property, which is understandable. But if you pay it off and interest rates drop a ton, you could refi it. You could refi it to buy the next house and then keep a renter in to pay the mortgage and maybe give you a little cash flow. So research city planning agenda. Make sure it isn't on government eminent domain agenda. Park land, parking lot, utility roads, etc. Research city planning agenda. Make sure it isn't on government eminent domain agenda. I don't know what that means. Sounds interesting though. You guys got a lot of good thoughts. All right, I'm wiped. Man, it's been 2 hours and 11 minutes. So I know these lives are long. People always complain about them in my comments, but I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, you guys have a lot of questions, a lot of good interaction. I learned something today. I got a book recommendation. I reviewed a ton of housing markets. I think I skipped a few, but what are you going to do? I'll be at it every week, so there'll be plenty of time to find more markets to look at. What's this guy saying? Mr. Bad Jokes. We almost never crash, but we are 30 below listing. Maybe you guys will see this soon. Oh, in Florida. I mean, Florida did crash. I mean, at one point. I mean, look at here. This will tell us. Like, look at these two graphs. This is Cape Coral, Florida in blue. And this is Berea, Ohio. Like, Cape Coral, Florida peaked at $441,000 in April of 2022. And now the median sale price there is $350,000. That's a pretty big crash, right? It is. Now there's other areas of Florida. I just picked this one. But look at inventory. So let me just look at Cape Coral. This is insane. Let's just do June and July. 815 homes for sale in July of 2021. Look at how the inventory went up. I mean, it didn't go up like we're seeing in Ohio. It went nuts, straight up in the air. At one point, Cape Coral had 4,000 homes for sale. Well, you know what? Let's do this. I'm really interested. Now you got me really thinking. Now I'm just going to compare the state of Florida. So, state of Florida versus state of Ohio. Florida had 59,000 homes for sale. That was the low point in February of 2022, right? Then it went up rapidly because they raised interest rates. Right around this time, right here, is when they started raising the federal funds rate. Interest rates on the 10-year went up. Interest rates on mortgages shot through the roof. And people just threw their houses on the market in a lot of areas that were in a lot of housing markets, even in Ohio, you can see kind of an uptrend there slightly. But then the inventory fell off because buyers were like, hey, there's some discounts. Then inventory flooded the market again in Florida. And look at this. It kept going. Now Florida has 193,000 homes for sale. I mean, you have to go all the way back to June of 2016. I mean, that's not even as many. I mean, Florida has like a 13-year high of inventory. Now let's look at prices. Let me do Florida only. So what's weird is you peaked at 423 in the state. Now you're at 404. So to your point, who is this? Mr. Bad Jokes. We almost never crash. Huh. You called it. Like Cape Coral looked like it crashed in prices, but overall the state has not crashed. I mean, you're down 20 grand from the peak, but how much are you down? I mean, year over year, you're down 1.4% year over year in Florida. Ohio's up 6.8% in prices. Let me go back to inventory real quick. I mean, this is what's nuts. If you look at the inventory of homes for sale, look how the inventory now in Florida is dropping. And let me just look in Ohio. Inventory starting to rise now. But we're nowhere near where we were, in 2012 versus Florida. I don't have it up anymore. I took it off. But Florida was at a 15-year high. Is that a 15? 13-year high in inventory. That's a big difference. So inventory matters, although I'm surprised that we're not seeing a larger price decrease in Florida overall. Who would have known? I mean, they're down $20,000 approximately, a little less than 20 grand from the peak, but they're not down 100 grand. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, thanks for mentioning that, Mr. Bad Jokes. All right, see if there's anything else in here I can look at. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. I can't really say your name. Maybe I'm just, maybe I'm slow today. Ma Deuce, what's up? What website are you showing us now? Redfin. That's what I'm looking at. I'm a Florida state citizen, but I domicile in Ohio. Have you not heard of 15-minute cities? Ohio bike trails are aspect of that 2030 agenda. Nerdy thing to investigate. Oh man, now you're going to get me in on that rabbit hole. That's cool. Thank you, Dana. I appreciate it. I'll investigate it. All right, guys, listen. I love this interaction on the Ohio channel. My Ohio channel is growing, so subscribe if you haven't already. Share the channel with some other Ohioans. I've got a lot planned this fall for the Ohio channel. I'm going to be going around the state. Like, I'm going to go to some of these markets that are just crazy unhinged, kind of find out what's going on, do some videos from the street. I'm going to take you behind the scenes in some of my rentals in Ohio. I've got an Ohio farm video coming out about billionaire companies buying farmland. I've got another Intel update coming out. So the Ohio channel is getting a lot of run, and it's growing fast. So I appreciate all the support, and we will see you next week. We'll do another update, and then look out for my national update this week on national Redfin information. Join me over there, and I hope you have a great day, a great weekend. I'm the Ohio Housing Nerd, and I am out. OUT out.